FTL Faster Than Light is a roguelite puzzle game inspired by contemporary sci-fi revered by the product-consuming masses and real-life special operations. In space! In other words, it's a war crime simulator. In space! Your goal: to deliver a cutting-edge USB stick, a revolutionary piece of tech that requires only 2 tries to plug it in. I guess there's also some schematics on it, but they cannot possibly be that important, and you're also pretty sure it was a euphemism for some obscure and risque fetish porn. An easy courier job, right? Wrong! The galaxy is in fucking shambles thanks to a bunch of xenophobic shitheads starting a rebellion against the ruling federation, and your second-hand hunky-junk of spacecraft not only allows the illegal aliens in its crew, it also happens to be marked with the Star of David, a parting gift from its previous owner you were made aware of only after the rebels started to pound your aft. Naturally, one thing led to another, and now you are being chased by a literal tidal wave of rebel ships, supported by the extremely potent military-industrial complex that allows the rebels to stack up each and every beacon they get a hold of with air-to-space artillery in record time. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I hear the word rebellion, I don't think about the winning side. Is it just me? Huh. I guess in English rebellion refers more to a political uprising that is currently taking place as opposed to revolution, concluded in introducing huge changes in the political climate. The more you know. The game was developed and published by Subset Games in 2012, a 2-man studio based in Shanghai. In many different circumstances and cases, this would have called for a huge amount of respect given the result. However, looking at the credits, one will see a lot of additional names. I guess it's only fitting that a China-based company relies strongly on cheap labor. We've got a lot to cover, and I am still recovering after the previous review. Which, by the way, thank you all who watched it, cause I did not expect it to do so bloody well. Or rather, I would be recovering, if not for my everyday job being the source of frustrations beyond reasonable boundaries. Not the workplace itself, hell no. It's just that the consoles were a mistake. So if this review is shorter and less edit-heavy, blame fatigue. Starting with graphics, I need to preface all that's coming by saying I generally dislike pixel art. It's an artistic choice that is being horrendously abused nowadays, while at the same time it's not that easy to pull off at all. It might look easy to an uneducated eye, but it's not. This is where I would normally stop. However, I have to point out, FTL's graphical presentation is stellar. Pun not intended. Each and every sprite is straight immaculate. Sure, shading is flat, and starting out you will likely ask yourself, what the fuck is this, a lot? But where the graphical design excels is in the field of readability. Sure, seeing something for the first time, there are chances you will not know what the hell it is. However, the silhouettes and designs are clearly distinct, and the player learns quickly to recognize shapes under separate categories. Yes, there are weapons that look very similar, but there aren't many of them, and even then, you can at least approximate how one functions and how much of a threat it represents. Huge part of that comes from the excellent mechanical design of weaponry, but it will be touched upon later. There is an argument to be made about how the visual side of the presentation is skewed towards function over style, but frankly, I'm ill-equipped to make such statements. After all, approaching the status of a 30-year-old virgin comes with an eyesight dimmed by all the years of unrelenting self-abuse. I really need a shag, do I? Audio, on the other hand, is a really peculiar case. I know there are people who love the music of FTL. I am not one of them. I tried recording the footage with the game's soundtrack, cause normally I turn it off and put something else instead in the background, but I resigned from that idea quickly. I'm not sure why, I don't understand why. I went from, the music is actually neat, to, okay, the music bores the tits out of me within 2 recording sessions. That said, I am fully aware this is a heavy bias and I am neither fair nor qualified to talk here. Have some samples and decide for yourself instead. That said, the sound effects are laser focused on function once again. Each weapon system being ready to fire has a sound cue. Hit causing a breach, distinct audio cue. Every single element of game design that the player must be aware of is accompanied by a crisp, yet not obnoxious and extremely effective sound effect. It's all so fucking subtle that only while recording the footage for this review, I realized how attuned I am to them after dozens of hours of streaming FTL on Twitch. To understand how vital what I just said is, we need to move to gameplay mechanics. The goal of the game is to make a delivery of an important data and causing a decisive blow against the rebel fleet. To do so, you will have to traverse through multiple sectors comprised of beacons, with rebel fleet hot on your tail the whole time. The rebel fleet is relentless. Each time you make an FTL jump to the next beacon, it will advance, sweeping through the sector you are currently in. I would advise against getting caught. While it is not an instant game over, the resistance encountered will be stiffer than David Carradine at the moment of his death, with almost no payoff for your struggle. So if you fuck up so badly that you are forced to endure multiple such battles in a row, you are as good as dead. The attrition. At the same time, dashing straight to an exit beacon means less events encountered and, as such, less opportunities to gather scrap. Currency of this war-torn clusterfuck of a galaxy. Each and every ship contains multiple system rooms that define the capabilities of the vessel. Higher level oxygen room will, for example, replenish oxygen losses faster, which is helpful if you don't want your crew to reenact the end of Total Recall. However, those benefits do not come automatically. The system must be given enough power from the reactor. Additionally, systems can sustain damage, each upgrade increasing their health pool. Damaged systems can no longer be powered fully, proportionally to damage sustained, until they undergo repairs. This means that the ship can no longer enjoy the full benefits of that system. At the same time, this also allows them to redistribute the power elsewhere, although this is something that is more likely to affect you, the player, than the enemies you encounter. This game is brutally unforgiving. Each combat encounter boils down to 2 vessels performing an active vivisection of their opponent. The goal of combat: to make your opponent stop. There is a vast array of methods one can employ to achieve it, but they can be boiled down to the following overarching categories. One can coordinate the ship's weaponry to fire volleys in patterns, systematically debilitating his foe's systems, lowering the effectiveness of their defensive, offensive, and support solutions, until the integrity of their hull fails, ripping their vessel apart. One could focus on killing off the crew until the opposing vessel becomes nothing more but a tomb in the void of space, ripe for disassembly and plunder. These could be achieved with your ship's weapons in multiple ways. Punching through the hull, causing breaches that suck out the oxygen. Starting a nice roaring fire to roast the enemy crew and the systems of their vessel. Or just going for by sending some of your people to murder the fuck out of the opponent in glorious melee combat. However, never forget, these tools aren't exclusive to you. As a matter of fact, chances are it's the galaxy and the enemies you meet that will teach you new and exciting ways to inflict death and suffering. Is there a choice not to commit war crimes and preserve my integrity, Schwalbe? There is. You can play FTL assuming its universe had long forgotten the Geneva suggestion exists, scouring the galaxy of all life forms that even dare to look at you funny, denying pardon to each vessel insolent enough to show even the slightest signs of animosity. Or you can die! FTL is a never-ending balancing act, and a single misstep could lead to a downward spiral resulting in ending the run in defeat. One such example of an embarrassing loss I can recount off the top of my head was how after winning a fight, I sent a crew member that sustained damage to a medbay, then went to the shitter. Only after returning did I realize I forgot to return power to the oxygen room after diverting some of it to engines in order to help my pilot dodge the enemy rockets. And now, most of my crew was dead. FTL can be absolutely brutal and you will die. You will die a lot. There is absolutely no shame in playing the game on easy difficulty, and to anyone who says otherwise, I pose a simple question. When was the last time you had contact with members of the opposite sex? There are tangible differences between the difficulty levels, but allow me to illustrate with a simple hands-on example. Easy difficulty. You get into your first combat encounter of the run. The enemy has a setup that can be considered comparable to yours, making it somewhat manageable most of the time. Normal difficulty. You make your first FTL jump of the run and come across the automated drone with a cloaking device. While the cloak is up, you cannot target anything, meaning your weapon charge is being delayed. At the same time, the drone most certainly can target you. Oh, it's also armed with rockets, and you have 15% chance to dodge tops, because this is still the very beginning of the game. It could have been much worse, though. After installing the game, only a single vessel will be available. Kestrel Cruiser Type A. There are, however, more ships you can play with. You will have to unlock them first, though. There is something like 28 playable ships in this game. Each and every single one of them poses different challenges and suggests different playstyles. Mantis B, for example, offers a bigger than standard teleport room, allowing one to send massive boarding parties. A different example? Stealth B.
What a rotten way to die.
All stealth-type ships start without shields. Instead, they are equipped with the cloaking device from the start, which makes for an interesting challenge. Why do I mention Stealth B? Because the only weaponry it comes equipped with is the Glaive Beam, a powerful beam that cuts right through the shield bubbles, dealing massive damage in the process. It takes 22 seconds to charge as a baseline, during which you have no defenses aside from the puny cloak that lasts 5 seconds. Let me remind you that beams always hit and can only be stopped by shields that you don't have. Stealth B is a pain, but on the bright side, you can buy the missing systems in stores. Shield system costs 125 scrap. Each sector has maybe 2 stores that you have to find on your own while running away from the rebel fleet. And the store isn't guaranteed to sell you systems in the first place. Thankfully, most other unlockable ships aren't RNG-based cock and ball torture, so that's nice. I just realized I forgot to talk about weapons in detail. Okay, let's knock it off quickly. There are multiple distinct weapon classes, each with inherent quirks and uses. Lasers are your baseline, firing projectiles that can be dodged or stopped by shields while popping them, making for the basic tool to create openings in the enemy defenses. Beams that are used to cut the enemy vessel into pieces. However, the beam's damage is lowered by the present shield bubbles while not disabling them. In other words, you don't want their shields to be up when you fire this. Rocket launchers, flinging conventional payloads across space into enemy faces. I really need a solid shot. And because the universe of FTL is Dune adjacent, the slow rockets pierce through shields, completely ignoring them. The downside? You need munitions to fire them. flak cannons, cause sometimes you just have to throw a bunch of space debris at a motherfucker, iron weapons that deal no conventional damage. They do, however, force the power out of the systems they hit. And if they hit an existing shield bubble, it's being popped, and it cannot be recharged for the duration. Throughout your journey, you will encounter many implements of destruction that could be put into those broad categories of mechanics. You will also have to learn how to utilize combinations of available tools to their maximum effect, and to recognize that sometimes it's perhaps better to leave. It is a difficult lesson to learn. The writing, Schwalbe? Why, yes. Well, okay, you could argue this could be seen as gameplay mechanics too, the gameplaying. Visiting each and every single beacon greets you with a short choose-your-own-adventure style history. This serves two purposes: fleshing out the world of FTL, providing more context for gameplay, as well as giving you all new fascinating ways of absolutely screwing yourself. Cause remember, giant alien spiders are no joke. By the end of a successful run, you will learn a lot about the cultures of this world. Hyper-aggressive mantises, with their modus operandi being "say it to my face and not over the comms, bitch." Xenophobic rock people that give no shit about fires and move at the speed of the actual mountains they resemble. And if you ever think visiting the nebula controlled by the slug is a good idea, you only have yourself to blame. Oh yeah, there is also the Advanced Edition, which adds a lot of new content, including a new type of sector and a new race to encounter: oxygen-annihilating, scrap-assimilating Linnaeus. Wait, who did the additional writing for the Advanced Edition again? Of course,
Great Bear.
The writing helps to convey both the beauty and the terror of the cosmos on your journey to the stars. Well, more of the former.
You see a number of Engia space stations and fleets nearby. Despite looking like piles of junk loosely tied together, they are actually a model of efficiency. They just lack a certain aesthetic emphasis in their constructions.
You intersect discussions between a rebel patrol and a human mining colony.
We realize you are scared, but all reports indicate the metal bastards target abandoned settlements only. If we relocated our fleets based on every request from Backwater. Wait, what's that?
Before you can react, the channel is cut, and the rebel ship moves into attack.
You come across a human civilian ship preparing to leave the sector. They message you.
We are getting out here. There was some cult rambling about the spreading of the disease humanitis. They forcibly boarded our ship and tried to open all of our airlocks, shouting "Be purged" is nowhere safe anymore.
There are few more zealous in their customs checks than the Zoltan. A team of border police beam on board. There's just a little confusion over your weapons licenses, but things escalate rapidly from heated discussion to gunfire.
FTL is a beautifully realized space adventure of brutal, unforgiving difficulty. The gameplay is rich, and the presentation is functional, yet pleasant. It is available on Steam and GOG, and at roughly $10, there is no way not to recommend the fucking thing. Well, unless you are allergic to having your arse beaten whole night long, in which case, please tell us in the comments how fulfilling your life of avoiding adversity is. And to all the other Mavericks out there, share your FTL stories with us in the comments. Now, if you excuse me, existential dread sets in, and it is intensified by Microsoft's baffling architectural decisions. I'm also pretty sure there's a black mold growing under my shower. Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to do all those things YouTube forces us creators to beg of you in order to grow our channels. Subscribe to see the reviews to come, like them, and hey, let me know how much did I get wrong. The workload at my job is likely to intensify immensely very soon. I'll do my best to keep up, but it's just a heads up. If you want to have some idea how the works on the next video go, you can join my venerable patrons over on Patreon. Glenn Uno, Guiderino, Łukasz Barański, Mewcio, and Chico Wow Wow. For as little as €1 a month, you could join my Discord server and gain access to a special channel where updates and snippets go. Thanks for watching and have a good one!